Hello and welcome to the Arizona Department of Education School Finance presentation of the Introduction to Student Data Collection. In this presentation, we will be providing contact and website information, reviewing the systems used in this process, data collection, instructional calendars, the AzEDS process and reports, as well as providing some troubleshooting tips. This is an introduction to student data collection, and we will only be reviewing the initial phase of that process. This slide contains the contact information for each division of school finance. School finance is broken up into 3 divisions which each manage separate areas of the finance process. Each group works out of a shared email inbox so we can more quickly respond to the emails we receive. The account analyst team handles student data, the school district employee report, instructional calendars, transportation reporting, and 915s. For questions related to these topics, please email sfanalystteam@az.gov. The payments team handles APOR and CHAR reports, the Classroom Site Fund, and the Instructional Improvement Fund. All questions related to the allocation of state aid should be directed to the payments team at the email address in the purple box. The budget team handles expenditure budgets, annual financial reports, all other budget-related reports, and any questions related to budgets. For questions related to these topics, please contact the budgets team at the email address in the blue box. We've also provided the web address for ADE Connect, which houses the AzEDS Portal, where you'll access student data reports. You may reach us by phone at the phone number in the red box, and general school finance questions can be emailed to schoolfinance@az.gov. How to access information. The school finance website located at the top of this screen contains different pages related to student data. In the Knowledge Center, you'll find links to training videos, announcements regarding targeted webinars and in-person trainings, as well as instruction guides that will help with the student data process. The Memos tab contains school finance memos published each fiscal year. And on our homepage, you'll find hot topics, which are announcements published by the different divisions in school finance. You can also reach the analyst team by email at sfanalystteam@az.gov. We do ask that when you send us an email, you provide state student IDs for questions related to specific students or screenshots if you are contacting us regarding an error you need assistance with. Again, the homepage for the school finance website is at the top of the screen here, and you'll see the Knowledge Center and Memos tabs on the light blue bar near the top of the screen, which were mentioned on the previous slide. The school finance homepage also houses the 10 most recent hot topics. These announcements are posted by the different divisions within school finance, and you can subscribe to receive alerts when a hot topic is posted. To do so, please visit our website and click on any hot topic in the list on the left. The screen in the background will appear, and you'll need to click on the red icon holding the Subscribe for Updates sign. The subscribe screen will appear, and here you'll select the categories you'd like to receive alerts regarding, as well as the frequency with which you'd like to receive those alerts. Then you'll enter your email address, click Subscribe, and follow the rest of the prompts. We do suggest you sign up for all of the categories to make sure you don't miss a hot topic that may apply to you. Now we'll discuss the systems related to student data collection. Student Information Systems, or SIS, or SIS, these are the software programs used by a school or district to collect and manage student information. These systems are used to house, format, and submit data to the Department of Education. AzEDS stands for Arizona Education Data Standards. AzEDS is Arizona's system used to collect, compile, maintain, and report student-level data for all students attending public education institutions. Your student information system is where your registrar or other data entry staff will enter student-related data. Your student information system is what sends information to AzEDS. Vendors are companies that provide student information systems. The list on this screen shows all of the vendors that have completed the certification process to show that they are capable of submitting data to the AzEDS system and are approved by the Arizona Department of Education. At some points during the student data process, you may need to contact your vendor. It's important to make sure that you have available the contact information of your vendor at all times. Now we'll discuss data collection. What data is collected? Student membership and program data, instructional calendars, and teacher or course data are all submitted by your SIS and housed in the AzEDS system. Staff data and transportation data are sent by school districts only and are collected in the legacy system, Common Logon. Eventually, those applications will also move over to AzEDS, and all of this data will be collected there. Please note that other data elements are collected in your SIS, like immunizations and discipline. However, they are not sent to AzEDS as part of this data collection process. What data is used for payment? Student membership and program data for the first 100 membership days of a student's school's instructional calendar are used to determine payment for both charters and districts. While we collect teacher and course data in AzEDS, they are not part of the data used in determining payment. The data collected in Common Logon, staff data used to produce the SDER or Superintendent's District Employee Report, and transportation data are for districts only, and they do contribute to district payment calculations. Now we'll discuss instructional calendars. Every school district and charter district is required to establish and submit an instructional calendar to AzEDS for each school in each school year. These instructional calendars must be certified and pass integrity before any student detail information can be processed through the integrity and ADM calculation engine in AzEDS. Integrity and ACE are different processes that run within AzEDS. Integrity is a set of rules established by statute and ADE business requirements that are applied to your student data. Your student data must meet the requirements in these rules to move through to the next phase of the student data process in AzEDS. ACE stands for ADM Calculation Engine and is another set of rules based on statute and business requirements that determine whether or not you'll receive state aid for the student data that does pass the integrity rules. In other words, integrity determines if you've sent the required data elements, and ACE determines if the data you've sent meets the requirements for funding. This is a snapshot of what your calendar will look like once it lands in AzEDS. You'll see your school and district information in the header, along with the submitted calendar type and the calendar code. The calendar code is used to identify each specific calendar. The legend at the bottom of the screen will help you decipher what event descriptors were submitted through your student information system for each day within the calendar's start and end dates. The fields that start with declared, like declared instructional days, represent fields within your SIS where data was manually entered. Fields that start with submitted represent the AzEDS calculation of the submitted data. So the difference between declared instructional days and submitted instructional days is that the number of declared in the declared field came from a field in your SIS, and the number in the submitted field came from AzEDS, reading the data that has been submitted. As I said before, your calendar must pass integrity. If your calendar is not passing integrity, please download the Calendar Integrity Reference Guide, which will help walk you through the process to correct your calendar data. The guide can be found in the Knowledge Center. The website is at the top of this screen, and the document provides definitions for all elements related to instructional calendars. The document provides you with a page for each calendar integrity error that contains a description and the steps to resolve the error. If you do need to modify a calendar, you may do so freely before August 31st of each year. After August 31st, you'll need to download the Calendar Access Request form located at the website on this screen. Please ensure you fill out this form with your district or charter, name, and entity ID, not CTDS number, and that you include the calendar code produced by your student information system so we can properly identify the calendar that you want to modify. Once the form is received and processed, you'll receive notification regarding how long the window will be open for you to submit your changes. Now let's discuss the AzEDS process and reports. The blue person icon on this screen represents the person at your school or district who is responsible for entering student data into your SIS, which is represented here by the computer icon. You or someone at your district will determine the frequency with which you want your data to be submitted to AzEDS and enter it into the appropriate field within your SIS. While each SIS may offer different options as to how often your data can be submitted, it is important to note that it must be submitted a minimum of every 20 days and that you must maintain documentation of each upload for auditing purposes. When your data is submitted to AzEDS, it flows through the API or Application Programming Interface. The API is typically open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, there are some times throughout the year when it is taken down for maintenance. When your data flows through the API, a transaction is created and the data flows into the verification phase of the student data process. The data that appears in the verification phase is data that has landed in AzEDS. Nightly, at 5 p.m., integrity runs and results in data landing in the post-integrity phase. This phase will contain data that has met the requirements in the integrity rules. Immediately after integrity has finished running, the ACE process will run. The data that lands in the post-ACE phase will represent data that determines your state aid payment. A report is generated every time your student data interacts with the process in AzEDS. When the data flows into the API, transaction reports are generated. The student data reports produced in the verification phase are the STUD 10 and STUD 15 reports, which tell you what student data landed in AzEDS. The Cal 10 and Cal 15 reports show you what calendar data landed in AzEDS. Integrity will run nightly, and the results of that process interacting with your data will result in the Integ 15 and Integ 35 reports generating. The Integ 15 will show student integrity results, and the Integ 35 will show calendar integrity results. These reports can be pulled to show what data has passed or failed integrity. Most data coordinators will choose to focus on what failed integrity so they can correct the errors in their student information system and resync their data. After ACE runs, the ADM 15 and ADM 20 reports are generated. The ADM 15 shows student details and the ADM 20 shows summary counts. These reports should be used to help you reconcile your data and ensure that they contain all of the students that your SIS shows you should receive state aid for. Contact your vendor if you aren't sure which reports you can generate in your SIS to compare to the ADM 15. Now let's discuss where to find all of these reports. On the top right-hand side of the ADE website, there is a link for ADE Connect. Click on that link to access all of the applications that you've been given permissions to interact with. If you do not have an ADE Connect account, contact your entity administrator. If you do not know who your entity administrator is, you can click on Find Entity Administrator in the upper right-hand corner or go to the website at the bottom of this screen. Once there, you'll type in the full name, CTDS number, or entity ID of your district or school. The resulting list will show who has access to create and modify accounts in ADE Connect. To access the reports we are discussing today, you'll need to click on the AzEDS Portal link shown in yellow here. When you reach the AzEDS Portal, it is important to stop and look over the System Status page. This page contains valuable information related to student data. The table in the center of the page contains the start and end dates and times of when Integrity and ACE last ran. There are some occasions when Integrity and/or ACE do not run. If you notice that Integrity didn't run the night before, it is highly likely that your data will not reconcile to the data in your SIS. Please be sure that you always review the status column as well. If the status of any process does not read completed, then that might also cause data in AzEDS not to match the data in your SIS. You can see the REST API status on this screen is available. Occasionally, the IT team will need to close the API for maintenance. When that happens, the status will show as unavailable. The calendar submission status is unavailable because it is after August 31st. If you submit a request to modify a calendar, then the status will change to available once the window is opened. From this screen, you can access your instructional calendars by clicking on Calendar in the gray bar. We will click on Reports in the gray bar to view where the student data reports are located. When the Reports page appears, you'll see the green bars on the left-hand side. You can click on each bar to expand it and view the reports within each section. The Student Details section contains the Trans 10, Trans 15, Stud 10, Stud 15, and IDTech 15 reports. The INTEG 35 report can be found in the Calendar section, and the ADM 15 and 20 are located in the ADM section. While all of these reports are part of the student data collection and reconciliation process, we are going to focus solely on the Trans 10 and Trans 15 reports today, as this is an introduction to the student data process. The Trans 10 report allows you to view a pre-integrity summary count of transactions that have failed or successfully landed in the database. You'll need to select the appropriate parameters before you run the report. You can see the parameter options in the top screenshot. You can run this report for an individual school or all schools, and you'll select a start date and how many days worth of data you'd like to see. You can only run this report for 3-day increments. The second screenshot shows an example of a Trans 10 report. You can see that, for the date range selected, this report shows some successful and some failed transactions. This report will only provide you with a summary, though, so you'll need to view the Trans 15 to see the details of all of the transactions. The AzEDS team has created a QRG, or Quick Reference Guide, to accompany each report that is available in the AzEDS Portal. You can locate these quick reference guides by visiting the website at the top of this screen. Each QRG provides you with the report description as well as a breakdown of what the report results mean. To learn more about the Trans 10 report, please visit the website on this screen and locate the Trans 10 QRG. The Trans 15 report shows the details of each transaction for the data collected in AzEDS. The screenshot at the top of the page again shows the parameters you'll select from in order to run your report. You can choose an individual school or all schools, the start date and the number of days worth of transactions that you'd like to see. The resource type dropdown allows you to select what type of transactions you want to review. You can select all of the resource types or individual types. An example of resource types you might select would be student, parent, staff, calendar, program, course, etc. These resource types represent all of the student data that your SIS is submitting to AzEDS. You also may select whether you want to see the transactions with a status of successful or failed. Selecting successful will show you the transactions that did land in the database, and failed will show you those that did not. Most data coordinators choose to focus on the failed transactions so they can resolve those issues and resync their data. You can see that this report shows you the details of each field of data submitted through the API in the Data Submitted column. The Request Method column shows what type of action you are submitting. The examples here are Add, Change, and Delete. The Resource Type column shows you the type of information being submitted. Before we move on, please note the different ID numbers in the ID column on this sample report. You'll see some are in the 200 range and others in the 400 range. This will be an important part of how to resolve issues related to failed transactions. Again, the AzEDS team has placed a QRG for the Trans 15 on their website, which is at the top of the screen. You can use this guide to help walk you through the data you see in this report. The QRGs can be very helpful, and we highly suggest you take a look at each that pertains to the reports you'll use in the student data collection process. This QRG will walk you through what all of the different fields mean, contains a link to resource type definitions, provides a table with information regarding the different ID types and what they mean, as well as provides helpful definitions for each of the different parts of this report. Let's talk through some troubleshooting that you can do to help resolve issues at the very start of the student data collection process. It is imperative that you review your Trans 10 report to see whether or not your transactions are landing successfully in AzEDS. If they are not, please contact your vendor and they will help you resolve the issue. The Trans 15 is looking to make sure that you've submitted all of the required fields for the data that you are trying to upload, change, or delete. Remember when I mentioned the ID numbers on the Trans 15 slide? When you are reviewing your Trans 15 report and see failed transactions with an ID in the 400 or 500 number range, you'll most likely need to contact your vendor to resolve those issues. You can also, of course, contact the analyst team at School Finance regarding questions on these reports. Again, please be sure to include state student IDs if your questions are regarding a specific student, or screenshots for questions regarding a specific error you are seeing on your reports. We also want to remind you that it is extremely important that you maintain documentation of your uploads and ensure that you are uploading to AzEDS a minimum of every 20 days. On behalf of School Finance, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We hope it was helpful, and we welcome any questions you might have on the topics we reviewed here.